My name's Laura Jade, and my art practice, sort of started in fine art, in learning how to paint, but I gradually became obsessed with light. Eventually I got so interested in light that I actually studied biology and how light impacts the body, our relationship to light, how light connects us to the universe. And I toyed with the idea of being a scientist as well. And in a similar way to Dia, I was like, facts and figures, maybe that's how I'll make a contribution to the world. But really I was an artist at heart, and so I always saw science through an artistic lens in terms of the narrative and creating connection and empathy to the world and nature. So one of my artworks, one of the ones that came out of my master's degree at UTS, is a giant brain that lights up with your brain activity. So you wear an EEG headset, it reads the electrical activity of your brain and visualizes that your live dominant frequencies as different colors. But also an interest in how do we use art to connect to ourselves? How can we visualize our own mind, see it externalized, and have a conversation with it? You know, because all art is a mirror of who we are, and it's a mirror of society. And so I've been taking this work, Brainlight, it's been in all sorts of strange contexts, you know, unexpected things that I didn't imagine when I made it, that it could go to prisons, that it could go to strange science institutions across the world, that it would be commissioned by a Romanian neuroscientist to communicate to his students, that I would be teaching art and science workshops to primary school students that teach them about emotional regulation and control, because the artwork actually it's a biofeedback system, and it's kind of taking something that's gone from a psychology clinical setting into a creative and playful space where children or adults can learn about their own mind and their own brain and their own sort of inner world, and share that experience with others, because they become the artwork and everyone around them gets to kind of view their inner landscape. So it is a spectacle as well, and inevitably we end up having very interesting, deep conversations about who they are, what matters to them, and possibilities for the future. One of the most universal reactions to the work Brainlight, that's what it's called, is people say, imagine if we did this with it, or imagine if what if we did this, or and so the work actually shows the way art makes us see possibilities, new potentials. It opens our minds to new ideas. Really, yeah. I mean, our economy is just so focused on getting things out of the ground that we don't, think about all the other needs that we have that make us human. And I think that's sort of something that's very unique to Australia as a society, is that we haven't needed to develop an arts culture or an innovation, in our technological sector, because we've been so focused on the stuff that we dig up. And for me, I think, every child deserves an art-rich curriculum, not because it's fun to make a painting, but because it teaches us how to engage in ways of thinking that, is about resistance. It is about questioning the status quo. It's about designing a life that we want to live and designing a future. The future's far from knowable, but it's very easily inventable. Being an artist is about being a human that's engaged in the world, and about imagining a world that we want to live in. People have been engaging in science, philosophy, botany, astronomy since time began. Like, we need to stop siloing our humanity into these pockets that aren't talking to each other.